Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. And this video, this is my, I don't even know which one in a row in this winter series. And today we will be painting a flower, a beautiful delicate pink flower in the snow. And I'm starting off with my sketch. First I just drew the oval that will be the shape of my flower, and then I'm starting with the petals. I drew in the lowest petal. As you can see, that one is in the shape of somewhat a C, maybe letter C. Then drew in the second one that is also vertical, and then the third one that would be horizontal, and the fourth one also, just mining the shape of the flower that I drew, the oval that I drew. Also I draw places on the petals, which I will leave white for the snow, stem, and also a couple of leaves. And that is basically it. Quite simple sketch. Your flower doesn't have to look as mine. You can draw any flower you like, whatever is your favorite. Why not? You don't have to have the same exact flower as I do. After I finished with the sketch, then moved on to painting my background. And as you can see, I'm just minding to not paint on the flower. That is the only part I'm skipping. But around it, I will paint everything. I will paint the background. Actually, I did not privet, but I do advise you to privet, because if you're not working fast and if you're a slow painter, you might be left with borders, and we don't want here that. We want soft edges. We want it to look as though it is something out of focus, so we do not want harsh edges. So just privet your paper and then go add a pigment. I'm adding mix of, I think this is blue, violet, and black in the background. Also just a little bit of green, as you can see right now, and I am leaving some spots white. I do not want to paint the entire background, but I do want to leave some spots, especially around the flower, also white. Now I'm tapping in just clean water to move my paint here and there, and again create those white beautiful spots for more texture in the background. And now using that pink, I will be using for my flower and some white splatters with white gouache. And these splatters aren't really on very wet paper. I did dry it slightly, then added those white sprinkles with white gouache, and then dried it completely. And now when it's dry, I moved on to painting my flower. And as I said, I will be using a pink color for the flower. I guess the pink is color of these couple of days. So first I started with one petal. I'm not privetting actually my petals. I'm painting wet on dry, and not really even using a lot of water in my brush. You can see I'm using quite small brush, so it doesn't hold a lot of water. And I do not want the bleeds. I do want to actually control this a little bit more, but if you want the bleeds and if you want your paint to spread, just privet the paper, privet the petal, and then on top add the pigment, and it will beautifully also spread. I did not want that here, so I'm painting wet on dry, or actually this is not really dry on dry or wet on dry, because as I said, I'm not having a lot of water in my brush. So first painting in the petals, going around those spots that I left white for the snow. Center part I'm painting in yellow, and on top I will add just a little bit of brownish color, especially on the lower part of my center, just to make some diversity. The stem I'm painting in green, and also the leaves around the petals. And I will also add just a little bit of brown on those leaves, just to make them again a little bit more diverse and to add some shadows and highlights on my leaves. For that, I'm using this smaller detail brush because I don't want my paint to mix completely. I do want to add those uneven lines and harsher lines, so I don't really want here colors to completely bend. Also, I'm doing a couple of details to my flowers, just adding in some veins to them and some shadows, some highlights, and I'm doing that again with this small detail brush with almost no water in it. You can see that I'm just really doing the dry brushing, and also same thing I'm doing on the part where my snow is. I'm using the color that I use for my background and just adding in dry on dry with this quite small brush. I'm just adding a little bit of the paint because I don't want even my snow to look same color. I do want it to look slightly different, as some part of the snow are in shadow and some part of the snow are highlighted. Now adding a little bit more details to the snow with white gouache, because my lines of the snow were too harsh and I do want them to look, you know, when snow falls, it just doesn't create straight line, it just creates those different wiggly lines. So I'm just adding a little bit of white gouache on the edges of that white part that I drew, just to make it a little bit more believable. A little bit of white gouache also on the last petal to make it look as though there is also some snow. Again, I've added just a little bit of brownish color into my pink to make a darker color and to paint in the shadows, even darker shadows on my petals. I do want them to have, you know, not to be quite even, but to have a little bit more texture. So I'm adding a little bit more of the darker color on some parts of the petals. Now picking up a white gouache, adding some sprinkles again with white gouache that would be actually snow. And also I'm using it straight from my palette, but also dipping slightly into the water to create larger splatters. And because, you know, I do believe that snow doesn't have the same snowflakes, some are larger, some are smaller, and I guess this will make it look a little bit more believable. Also, I've added just a little bit of darker color into my white, a little bit of black, to create a darker splatters. And also I've picked up that paint mix of blue, violet and black I used for background, and also did just a little couple of splatters with that color because I did want to add some darker, some impact splatters, if I could say that. A little bit more of white splatters, and I guess that is it. That will be it. The last thing I'm gonna do, and you know, not very difficult at all. I encourage you to try this one. And if you do like this video, please hit the like button, share it, comment. And if you haven't still, please do subscribe to my channel. That would really mean a lot to me. Maybe consider joining my channel. That would also mean a lot to me. So thank you guys again so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.